Hey, good evening, everyone. This is Nitin. I'm your moderator for the panel on Edutech and Health Tech, the new frontiers. Let's first thank Denise and the excellent Denise team on coordinating this event with Digital Week Online. Today is day 3 of the Digital Week, and it's focused on digital transformation. Let me give you a quick introduction on myself. I represent Alchemy. I'm the country head for Alchemy in India. Alchemy is a core tech company based out of Washington, D.C. Based on our high demanding environment, we built an end-to-end data lifecycle product based on open source standards and very active in the domestic Indian market as well as our principal area in US. And so looking forward, for insights on both the interesting and very critical sectors on education and healthcare. And I think today we're going to see the intersection of role of technology in both education and healthcare. We all know education is a fundamental for achieving full human capital, full human potential, and developing an equitable society and national development. So very excited. Welcome you all, and let's begin with a quick introduction for everyone, maybe about 2 to 3 minutes, about your organization, your key roles, and some a minute of insight on the given topic. So let's begin with Mr. Malik. Aditya sir.
Thanks, Nitin. Hi, everyone. I'm Aditya Malik. I am CEO and Managing Director of a EdTech company in higher education space called TalentEdge. We work out of India, and we work with a lot of Ivy League colleges in India and international colleges to offer degree and certification programs across multiple geographies. These are predominantly focused on for working professionals and early professionals, and across multiple domains, be it traditional domains like HR, marketing, finance, or the new age domains like business analytics, marketing analytics, and deep learning, etc. So we are completely digital, both live synchronous and asynchronous, multiple products available on our platform. We have been in business for last 10 years, and about 70-75% of the business comes from India, and about 25% business comes from international markets, predominantly in international, predominantly it's North America and a couple of Middle East regions. That's what we do. Today, EdTech with this pandemic has become all the more come in the limelight and has become more mainstream. For want of a better word, I will use the word mainstream, because we in the EdTech business always, it was very close to our heart. We love EdTech, but now what has happened is with pandemic, with everybody forced to go online, it has suddenly become a norm. Earlier, EdTech used to be secondary post the physical classroom. It has become an accepted norm, and that is the biggest benefit we have all got of pandemic, that it's a normal way of learning, it's a normal way of doing, and it's acceptable way of learning, especially in a country like India and other developing economies where the gross enrollment ratios as well as the enrollment of people is enrollment of students and availability of good teachers is low. This is the way forward. We are looking forward to using more and more technology to enhance the learning experience of our students, and happy to be in this panel with other colleagues on the panel, and look forward to an interesting discussion in next about 45 minutes or so. Thank you, Nitin. Over to you.
Thank you, sir. So we're very excited, and we have a couple of interesting questions which I'm sure audience would like to understand from you on the EdTech. But let me move on to Dr. Tanush Nandan. Sir, please a quick introduction about yourself.
Thanks, Nitin. Hi, good evening, everyone. It is evening in India. I'm Tanuj Nandan. I am a professor of finance at Motilal Nehru National Institute of Technology, which is located in Prayagraj, India. And in addition to my academic responsibilities, I also look after certain aspects of academic administration. I'm Associate Dean of Academics. But also very importantly, I sit in the placement office. So I am faculty in charge training and placement. And my office has the responsibility of getting placements for all the students who pass out of this institution. That's quite a good number. But in that capacity, I get to see a lot of what is happening in the industry. So the buzz that is going around, or what are the trends. And I've seen digital transformation happening primarily from a financial perspective, because the payment space has really changed over the past few years. But also, if since we are talking about education technology today, I had been observing this change for the past 5 or 6 years. There were more and more companies, some of them well established and some of them in the startup mode, who were approaching us for graduates, for manpower requirements. But equally interestingly, our students are very well informed, and they're saying that please look for jobs in the education technology sector for us. So poised for a major growth in any case. But like Aditya just mentioned, the pandemic gave it a push. Now, pandemic really, in my opinion, is an aberration, but it did teach us a lot of things, particularly from the viewpoint of the educators. I think we the educators, we the teachers in established institutions, we are more resistant to change, and that's why we were quite happy going about business as usual. But when the pandemic happened, we started experimenting initially with the technologies, and then we started growing used to it, and then over a period of this last 1 year, we've become accustomed to it. We are comfortable with it. So that has, in fact, given a boost to education technology. And I think going forward, there's huge amount of scope. The primary advantage, I think, of education technology stems from the fact that people can learn at their pace, because different people have different pace at which they learn. They can learn as per their own timings. So people who are already employed can go ahead and get certifications. You can learn from some of the best institutions in the world. So I have students who are getting certifications from, you name it, and good universities in the world. So Johns Hopkins, MIT, European Union, UK, all of these excellent institutions. So the certifications that they get, and that certification today is the way forward. So it's what helps people survive. So the kind of certifications they're getting are really meaningful. And then they have the ability to choose all the courses which they seem fit. So it's a wide choice. So I think education technology has made a huge amount of difference, and we'll take it up in the panel discussion. So thank you, Nitin.
Sure. So we agree on that. In fact, we in the corporate, we jokingly say that COVID-19 has, taken us 10 years ahead in terms of technology adoption. So it's not always the CIO or the CTO, sometimes it's the pandemic which helps the adoption of technology in our corporate world. So thank you, sir. So we'll come back on that. Rahul, a quick introduction about yourself, your long lineage across the world and consulting background, and now on the health tech side.
Thanks, Nitin. But after listening to Aditya and Dr. Nandan, I think I can't compete, right? So let's do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, my name is Rahul Handa. I am one of the founders of Marsha Healthcare. We began about 5 years back with the motherhood and apple pie problems of should a patient's data be, how do I get a patient's data to go from one doctor in one hospital to any other doctor in any other hospital? And as Nitin, you said, the pandemic has actually brought to fore the requirement of health tech, right? I mean, given the fact that India has a massive problem and a shortage of doctors to treat, it's actually brought health tech out. So when we began, there are 4 pillars to healthcare. There are care scheduling, which is I want to meet up with, let's say, Dr. Malik on Wednesday at 4 p.m. Then the second part of it is the billing part to it. Okay, who's paying how much, whether insurance is paying or the government is paying, etc., etc. The third part is literally the delivery of care, which is when the doctor is able to sit in front of the patient and figure out what the symptoms are and be able to figure out what the diagnosis is, what the tests need to be done, what the medications need to be, and what needs to be the treatment plan. The fourth one is the preventive and wellness side, where we're talking about smoking cessation, alcohol and drug de-addiction, or weight management, or diabetes management, and things like that. So we don't do anything around the care scheduling and the billing side. Okay, we strongly believe that is actually managed very well inside of the hospital because they are actually set up to do that. But that delivery of care, so that we can build out a lot more parameters around that interface between the doctor and the patient, is what is largely missing. So when we began this, as I said, the motherhood and apple pie statement was, I want the doctor's data to go from anywhere to anywhere. And that we realized building out a health information exchange was a simple thing. By the way, that has also been done now by NDHM, which is the National Digital Health Mission in India, which I strongly believe is a very, very strong and a very, very robust program. It is just going to take some time to roll out. So built out the health information exchange, realized that the health information exchange won't really work unless and until we have a longitudinal patient record. So perfect, let's build that out. Then we realized that, okay, just the patient record is not going to help unless the doctors actually enter data. From there, we had to also build in a schema where the doctors and the hospitals would be incentivized to use a system like this. So we had to build out a schema such that the system itself would be able to increase the throughput of the doctors and hence the hospital. Second part of it was, once the patient has walked in, from a connectivity and from a patient engagement perspective, how do I keep the patient inside the hospital? The third part of it, which is very, very important also, was how do I build a certain level of trust between the care delivery organization and hence the doctor and the patient, so that the patient doesn't necessarily feel that they're getting ripped off every time. And the fourth component of it was, if there is already an existing hospital information system or a telemedicine solution or any kind of an electronic medical record, how do I make it easy for the doctor to enter data? So very short and simple answer, we've actually, it took us about almost 3 years to build out a large database where for every specialization, I know what are the names of the diseases, and per disease, symptom 1, symptom 2, symptom 3, like that. And then associated with that is the test to be ordered, the treatment plans, and the medications. So the system that we built out is meant for PHC, CHC, district hospitals, etc., so that the throughput of the doctor can increase while we start capturing out the data. And the long-term goal is to actually use big data, data analytics, AI to come to a better sense of patient outcomes, right? Patient outcomes literally being, how do I figure out that that the patient has actually been treated? Okay, so all that is what we have been working on. So that's about it from my perspective.
Thank you.
Looking forward to being part of the team.
Yeah, that seems like a massive platform, and looks like a combination of both EMR and EHR, which both from the patient's perspective as well as from the hospital's perspective. But let's come back to it, because there's a thin line between EMR and EHR, and you seem to have covered, both from the customer's perspective as well as the hospital's perspective. So
Exactly.
so we'll come back on that. Thank you so much for that. Nanki, quick introduction.
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I'm Nanki Chadha, a sports and performance psychologist. My journey as a sports psychologist started about 6 years back when I was playing sport myself in India at the national level. And I found something missing in my sport, and that was the mental aspect. And specifically in India, I feel that is lacking into mental health within sports, which motivated me to go to the UK and get a master's in sports psychology from Loughborough University. And then I was more eager to understand where emotions are really created. How are they created? What are the factors that result in emotions within athletes or even individuals? which got me into research and went on to do a PhD, which I'm currently pursuing. I recently shifted back to India with the main aim of introducing sports psychology within the country because I feel mental health is extremely important. And now, after COVID, I think that's the second pandemic that we all are facing. Whether it's sports, whether it's any performance related area, or just in day-to-day life, I think it's really important. And COVID, although telepsychology, which is or teletherapy, has been there for decades, but actually the surge increased, the demand increased, and like any other field, even sports psychologists or counselors saw the transition from a face-to-face consultation to an online consultation. I would say there have been many advantages of that, but also there are other disadvantages in terms of ethics and data um, storage issues, which I'm going to discuss later in today's discussion. So yeah, so mainly I feel the transition has been extremely fruitful and is here to stay. But how we can make it more secure and a safe environment for individuals to come out and speak about mental health on online platforms.
Very well said, Nanki. I think you rightly said that the second pandemic we are dealing with is mental health, and would be interesting to see how technology can help scale and complement you as a consultant or the fraternity, the sports fraternity. But let's come back later on to that. So both are very interesting topic, edutech and health tech. But let's start with Aditya sir. I know the industry is healthy, double digit year on growth. And I think I'm talking about pre-COVID-19, and the COVID-19 has given a massive boost. And we during last 12-15 months we read a lot of acquisitions, new startup coming up into the space. But I think I'm going to start with a very basic question. How was during the initial days, how did you manage the transition from the chalk and board or chalk and talk to more like a click and learn, coming up with intuitive modules, getting people come online, and not only come online, maybe stay in the platform to complete the course. So let's just take a step back and, listen from you, the initial phase of EduTech.
Sure, thanks, Nitin. So, the when we started the company, the edtech world was full of companies offering recorded lectures, right? From companies like Khan Academy, which had YouTube lectures and recorded lectures, and it was a self-study mode. And MOOCs, massive online open courses which were being offered for free, was the buzzword, and it was dependent on the learner to go do the self-study and come back, and the onus was on him and her to complete the course. And that is why suddenly the online education had a secondary status vis-a-vis the physical classroom, because it was assumed that the physical classroom is more engaging and you get more out of it from a learning experience than you're sitting in front of a computer and learning yourself. That's the first challenge we had to surmount. So the first thing we did was that the thought was that how can you give the same experience in online learning what you can give in a physical classroom, which means couple of things. The first thing was how you can make it live and interactive so that the person delivering the education, which is a senior faculty member, and the person receiving the education sitting in multiple cities across the globe, are having the same experience as if they are sitting in a Ivy League college campus. So that's the first challenge, which means it's happening live and interactive. The second was including the network. One of the benefits of studying in Ivy League colleges, how do you network and how do you build a community so that the alumni network lives with you throughout your life. I'm an alum of so-and-so institute. You'll pick up the phone, talk to your colleagues and talk to your other fellow alums, and that build that network. How do you give that benefit? How do you give the benefit of peer-to-peer learning? How do you give the benefit of social learning, etc.? That is where we started. So, we were from a direct to device mode, we were the first one in India to get to that mode, where we created this complete platform and ecosystem where a student can do a XLRI Jamshedpur course without going to the Jamshedpur campus and actually be sitting wherever they are and going through the course live and interactive with the same rigor, be it the assessments, be it the quizzes, be it the question and answers, be it having the attendance as a mandatory process that you have to from 7 to 9, 2 days a week, particular day you have to sit in the front of a computer, etc. We build that complete ecosystem. So that was the first transition we went through, where people used to actually ask us and say, how will the learning happen online? How will I learn? So we crossed that, and happy to say that it was very, very fruitful, and students were willing to pay a higher fees for a live and interactive similar experience what they would have got in the classroom vis-a-vis the recorded lecture which was there. So that's how it worked for us, and that's how it all started.
So basically model the physical world in a virtual world with more interactions and community and the live environment. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Which breaks the monotony of the previous recorded based lectures.
Absolutely.
Fantastic. Yeah. Fantastic. Yeah. Another quick question, sir. So with this model, and addressing the student teacher ratio and the scarcity of good faculty members. Now, does Edutech also helps, in the last mile education connectivity? So are you addressing more major 6 metros, or, the students are spread across India or globally? Yeah.
So when we started, predominantly we used to get students for top 6, 8, 10 cities, which is the metros and the mini metros. Today we get students from 281 cities across the country. Wow. The fairly equal mix between metros and non-metros. Earlier it was predominantly metros. In a country like India or other developing economies, in higher education we have a gross enrollment ratio of 26%, which in a developing economy like US, which is as high as 60, 70, in some cases 80% also in some places. Even a country like China, which is miles ahead of us, they are around 50, 55% in terms of GER. One of the reasons why Government of India and Tanuj sir will talk about it in some time is promoting online education is predominantly because this is the surest and the fastest way to deliver quality education to the last mile, Nitin, as you were just mentioning. So there is and especially in a country like India, where government is promoting inclusiveness in, say, for example, first thing Government of India has launched is about opening accounts for everybody, which is bank accounts for everybody, which is for people like us, it's a normal thing. We have accounts from when we started in college, but more than half the population didn't even have bank accounts or insurance coverage or medical coverage, health tech coverage, health insurance coverage. Similarly, education, inclusiveness, how do you get a person sitting in a remote village in India the same quality of education what a student sitting in Delhi would get, be it a school education, college education, or a higher education? I think that's the larger objective of this, and that is where truly the money lies from a commercial aspect also for organizations like us. Truly the money is in the profit is in the bottom of the pyramid, and that's where we all are headed. As of now, we have not gone to that level where we are completely inclusive and getting to a remote corner in villages of India, not because of the deficit in the model, but that's how slowly the market is expanding. As of now, as I said, we go to 280 cities, but we feel the way government is promoting is it next 2 to 3 years. The day is not far where literally, I use the word, we'll get students pin code wise. So, that zip code or a pin code wise, that's where the benefit is going to be. And that's where the real purpose of inclusiveness will get served.
Right. I agree. I think the volume or the purpose is the bottom of the pyramid, so that the education reaches the last mile. As you said, people sitting in the village should get the same quality of education, who are in the metros. So I think that's what the purpose of the national education policy is. And I'm going to move on to Professor Tanuj Nandan. Sir, Gyan, Pragya and Satya, for my global audience, the pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, and truth I think these were the foundation of the education in India, and the highest human goal in ancient Indian time as well. And I had a chance after we spoke during the day that the new education policy captures the same philosophy, but now addresses 360 degree on the last mile education, including edtech. So maybe few minutes insights on the new education policy by India. Tanu sir?
Okay, so that's really a good point, a good place to start, Nitin. The national education policy that we came up with last year, and it was an amazing job. I'll just take you through a very kind of a brief kind of a tour. So I don't think there was any secret about the fact that there's always room for improvement, but the kind of graduates that we are producing, we could have done better with that. Am I audible, Nathan?
Yep, yeah, I can hear you.
Right. Okay. Thank you. So, I think we started with some of the industry associations coming back and telling us, like NASSCOM came up with these figures about 15 years back, that even out of the technical graduates that we produce in India, I think 20% are employable as such, but 80% need to be reskilled. And then that figure started getting even worse. And if you leave aside students who come out from the top ranked institutions, there's a lot of scope for improvement. So we will look at it from that perspective for a long period of time, and we were trying to work on ways in which we could improve the quality of students. And I'll go back to what you asked. Well-rounded personality. So even in my institution, normally, when a company is done with its recruitment process, we take feedback from them, and the very few aspects of negative feedback we get include the fact that, okay, your students are good, they can definitely do with some work on their soft skills. So somewhere we need to round over, to have a larger kind of input of different aspects. And if you go back to what you were talking about, Indian education system was multifaceted. That's what I think what you quoted refers to. But how do you bring it into the curriculum? So the national education policy, what it does is it comes up with some really interesting and usable concepts. See, the policy is a vision, and we are still in the process of translating that into action, and done a lot of brainstorming on it. But some of the really important things, and particularly things that work very well with EdTech, are things like the concept of credit banking. So, a student is not necessarily limited to one institution or one mode of study. He can earn his credits, provided, of course, those credits are deemed worthy. But he can earn his credits from one place. He can exit at multiple points. He can re-enter at multiple points. So that is what the national education policy talks about. So a well-rounded personality, maybe someone who is, it's not a new concept, but we needed to include it in our curricula. So someone who is majoring in computer science or mechanical engineering should also know a little bit of theater or maybe finance. So that's what the national education policy talks about. I'll just I was refer back to what Aditya was talking about, and he touched a perfect chord when he talked about inclusiveness. Now, inclusiveness, we need to remember that 2/3 of our population lives not in urban areas but in rural areas. And the reason that we can sit
Tanuj sir.
down today and talk about digital transformation is because that transformation was already in place. Most of the developing countries have similar issues and they're at similar stage. What we did, and see, what a mobile phone allows you to do is to get internet connectivity to a very remote section of the country without making a lot of investment. And the second thing is that using a cell phone, is better than using a PC in many aspects, because you know that in India, in the rural parts, electricity supply could be very iffy. So you do have scope to charge your cell phone and then use it throughout the day, but you probably will not be able to do the same with a PC or a laptop, and it requires more of a financial input as well. So we need to accept the fact that we need to be inclusive. Even in an institution like mine, I know that there are a lot of students who come from very underprivileged backgrounds, but those digital tools which we actually brought into existence across the country over the past few years have helped today that we can actually leverage those technologies. So all we are doing these days is using the technologies that we already had. So I think we need to keep that in mind. The revolution had been put into place long time back, and we are reaping the benefits today.
Right. I think the platform and the infrastructure was, EdTech is kind of leveraging on the internet economy. Like you said, using a cell phone is, better than having a PC because it requires less infrastructure on charging. And with the internet going to places, I think it's time now to drive, more education and healthcare application on top of it. Fantastic. Thank you, sir. And
Right.
we'll go back to it. Rahul, so very impressive. What you said in your introduction part. Just one quick point. So we know COVID-19, forced us to adopt technology. I myself have taken teleconsultations during that period. And so now, I think it's become, teleconsultation or e-health, as you say. So is it going to be the new normal? Like, I like to see my data, or I like my doctor to be informed before I even visit hospital or clinic. So I think I'm kind of into it that that's the way it's going to be. So is e-health or telemedicine the new normal, and that's where your product or your platform fits in?
So yes and no. Okay. So the reason I'm saying yes and no is because, see, generically speaking, the rule of thumb used to be that healthcare is about 10 years behind fintech. So health tech has always been like that. And that used to be the standard. So prior to being an entrepreneur, I used to work for Cognizant, before that with Ernst & Young, and then before that with Gartner Consulting in the US. I've been working primarily in the technology and the. So effectively speaking, I think that rule of thumb that we used to see as 10 years wide is actually shrunk a little bit, but not terribly large. Primarily because even though we would like to think that telemedicine is the new norm, telemedicine is not, right? To a large extent, it needs a lot more regulatory framework to be allowed to utilize those things. So to give you an example, if the first time when you meet up with a doctor on a teleconsult, they are not allowed to, by law, they are not allowed to prescribe a certain set of medicines, etc., etc. So even though there is an interaction that is happening, the first part is that there is a regulatory and a policy system that is there. The second part to it is that where fintech has always been, right? Literally around that entire concept of know who I am and then give certain permissions and have a very, very strong security and a consent framework for allowing you to use your credit card, debit card, etc., etc., has not really existed on the health tech side. The thing being that, for example, in India, we don't necessarily consider our health data to be sacrosanct. It's not something that I think is private. But your financial data you still consider to be extremely private. So what the good thing is happening is that the IndiaChem framework and all the new policy around how health is supposed to be put out is trying to, but there are still loads of lacunae in it. The other side to it is, for example, we say, I don't think that telemedicine is going to be long. I frankly think that telemedicine might just go the way of the pagers that happened about 25 years back in India. They died out very fast because the newer thing came out, the second thing. Now, at the same point in time, e-health, I believe, is a lot more requirement because in telemedicine, I can only see in an e-health model where there are some devices or whatever it is, I can actually know what your pulse is. I can actually know what your temperature is rather than the patient reporting it. And by the way, world over, it's a common knowledge that patient-reported information is generally incorrect. And I'll give you an example. So you ask a smoker who smokes 5 packs a day, you say, hey, how many cigarettes do you smoke? And a doctor will always tell you that he will always say, oh, I just smoke 1 or 2 a day. Okay? So there is that entire construct of it. So e-health is going to be the new normal. And I'm saying is going to be because there is lots of work to be done on that side. And that comes up with the other side that e-health cannot just be one thing. It has to cover the entire body of the person. And by body, I mean mind, heart, liver, gastro, everything. And it has to be towards the wellness program.
So is it a journey going from teleconsultation to e-diagnostic, getting your pulse and, other diagnostic using sensors, gradually coming up to be an electronic repository or a data on an individual so that the caregivers, have a holistic view on patient's health. So that's where we are going. That's what e-health you're saying, right? That's e-health.
Yes, and the reason I say that will happen in the future is because yes, see, that is a more like a first world problem, right? Which means that I have enough doctors; they are all being able to look at those solutions and all, and there is enough internet, and there are enough devices, and there are enough devices for everybody. Now, what happens is that a system like this is still far from being developed out, where for 1.3 billion people, right, especially at the bottom of the pyramid, they are going to have access to a device like this. How will that happen? How will that data come to me? How will it be securely coming back to the system from my perspective? How will it go? And I'm able to showcase it back to the patient in a user-friendly means. I mean, you know this better than most people. That at the end of the day, it's a matter of being able to showcase the data in a way that it actually patient or the doctor a bunch of figures doesn't really help. Right. So what we have done on our side is that literally we've captured out all of that data stack. So that when the data comes into us, we're able to showcase in a simple dashboard view to the doctor. Because at the end of the day, that is the point of care. Right? And the doctor, the only one who can actually prescribe medicine, do intubations, etc. in India. We don't want to break that cycle. At any point in time, if you start trying to make doctors irrelevant, it cannot be, right? They are the caregivers. You have to give them more skill sets. You have to increase their efficiency perspective, but not try and do anything which is going to take away from their skill set. Because they are trained to do this. Computer system is only going to run on a basic set of probability, no matter how much data we have.
Right. So I'm sure, the product is backed by, analytics and AI and machine learning. I'm sure, these things would give personalization, would inculcate healthy behaviors and healthy habits, and a promise of a better patient engagement. We were talking about patient engagement, during your introduction part. But overall, somewhere it's going to reduce the overall cost. We are talking about a billion population and digitizing all the health records, going to the last mile. I think you indicated about having a health card, which stores your data in case of emergency. Your caregiver knows your health information. But overall, 5-10 years down the line, is it gonna ensure that there is a proper or a better patient engagement and overall reduce cost per patient?
Yes, that is the hope and the prayer. That is what most of the health tech companies have been working towards. However, there is a small gap in that, right? Most health tech companies are looking at the entire body of the person, but saying, I would only go and treat for cardiac condition, or I will go and only treat the neuro issue, or I will only go and treat the eye issue. The human body, right? It's one of the most complex systems known to any organism on Earth, kind of thing. Everything from your mind to your eyes to your heart to your liver, everything is connected. So what that is the first problem I see with all the different systems out there, which is that they try and solve one small thing. You have to look at the patient as in a complete holistic manner. So what we've done is we've actually built it out so that every specialization is covered up, whether it's say cardiac, onco, neuro, gastro, ortho, endocrinology, pediatrics, everything. Right? So because it's a life cycle, you can't just say I'm going to look at only one thing. Plus, as I said, the life cycle comes into picture, which means that you have to look at a patient from the time that they are born to adolescence, to middle age, to geriatrics, etc., etc. And it's a complete cycle you have to look at. The other side to it is that it comes down to that concept, the concept of personalization. We are still a ways away, right? I mean, obviously, AI and ML and the entire set of data analytics, the tools exist, the brain power exists. What does not exist is the data to run them, right? So if I'm not able to capture the data set at a granular level, literally, which means that I don't know what are your symptoms per visit, or I don't know what are the exact symptoms that you came in for every visit with every doctor. And how do I know what the personalization is required from a medicine perspective? There's lots of talk around saying that I want to be able to figure out that for each individual at the genetic level, etc. There's lots of work being done on that. It's really, really mind-blowing stuff. Where you turn around and say, even at that person level, I should know what medicine to give and what dosage to give. Yeah. Right? That has still not happened. But with our system, with the amount of data that comes in, so for example, our system is as simple as choose the symptoms. Based on the symptoms, the system will suggest to you what the diagnosis is.
Yeah.
Right? Then the doctor chooses, and based on the diagnosis, we'll tell you what the tests will be done, what the treatment plans are, and potentially what the medications are also. And we can do this across every specialization, as I said. But at that point in time, only when I get all of this data, will the first set from the AI perspective will be coming in to say, hey, Mr. Doctor or Doctor, at this point in time, given all the data that we have, for this particular patient across all cardiologists, if you're a cardiologist, this is the best treatment plan because this is best for different patients in this bracket. The next set will be, doc, based on this, these are the best treatment plans according to what you have done, as well as across all other doctor sets also. So it has to lead towards personalization. And to that point, there is a very, very strong need of patient engagement. Patient engagement is not just saying that, hey, I've told you, go take your medicines. But am I incentivizing you to take the medicine? Am I incentivizing you to go work out? Right? Am I incentivizing you to drink more water? How is that happening? And everything is not something that can be run from a device. Yeah. A lot of it is behavioral change, right? So that is where I strongly believe that the patient engagement needs to move towards. Right. And the moment we move towards that, and since we've also got a little bit on the wellness package side, as I was saying, that there is stuff around alcohol de-addiction or smoking cessation or diabetes management or weight management, etc. At that point in time, that is where, if we are able to move towards that, that is where the cost reduction in the overall mechanism of healthcare delivery will come into place.
Yeah.
Right.
And not only the recommendations on the care. I think once the patient comes back and there's repeat transaction based on the medicine recommended by the AI, the dosage can be altered based on the response that particular patient has shown, by using those medicines. So not only what to give, how much to give, also comes in the subsequent stages as you get more digital encounters or more medical encounters with the patient, and you record each step, each encounter in your overall system.
Yes, but see, there is a there's a fine line. So I just want to add that fine line back into it, is that when you say the system will tell you, no, the system will recommend to the doctor and the doctor has to make that decision. Okay. And second thing, I'm one of those people who actually believes that medication is not the only way to solve a person. I mean, to treat a person, right? Not, sorry, solve being the wrong word, but the medicine that is being provided to you, or an injection, whatever it should be something which is to fill the gap till the time you're able to kind of sort of treat yourself overall. Medicine should not be the crutch on which you live your life.
Yeah.
That is the view I have.
Right. No, excellent. And I have more questions, because what you've spoken is more on the care side. I think I'm going to talk to you, in the last more about the preventative side. Once you have the digital records and the interactions, are we going to adopt healthy habits and become, see more preventive? But let's wait for that. Nanki, sorry to keep.
I'll leave you just with one thought, that at the end of the day, the concept of patient wellness or patient outcomes, right? If you watched the Big Bang Theory, is something about like the Schrodinger's cat.
Yeah.
When the patient leaves the hospital, when the patient leaves the doctor, technically you don't know if he's still alive or dead.
Yeah. Got it. Nanki, sorry to keep you waiting.
Not at all.
Quick thought, so nobody cared, unless you're a 2-year-old, on how many steps you take in a day. We used to watch infants that, because they take their first steps. Today, there is a rage, fitness revolution, 10,000 steps a day, 8,000 steps a day. I believe strong is the new sexy, the whole lot of wearable devices, diet, wellness, mental health and well-being, as we were discussing earlier today.
Yeah.
Question to you is, the sports fraternity during the pandemic time, how easy or difficult was for them to adopt the technology? I know you do one-on-one, individual, confidential, in-person consultations. From there, coming online and opening up in a consultation. How was that transition? Was it easy? It came over a period of time. How did it work in your industry?
Yeah, so very good question. And I would say in the current situation, the transition and video technology came to rescue all the mental health practitioners, whether it was sports psychologists or other consultants, adopted and adapted to different forms of technology. So we did approach our clients through video calls, even cell phones. So from a very traditional one-to-one, face-to-face consultation, we did transfer and adopt technology. It was easy, I would say, in the sense it helped us maintain contact with a lot of athletes, and especially during the lockdown period when they were not able to step out and not train or do anything and were stuck at home, which of course took a mental toll on a lot of athletes, because all of a sudden, from being extremely active, they were stuck at home. It did allow us to keep regular contact with them. It also allowed us to reach out to athletes who were in rural areas or in remote areas to a certain degree, especially athletes who were associated with organizations. So like a Sports Authority of India or other foundations in India. So they took technology, they kept in touch with all their athletes to maintain that social support. Also, individuals with persons with disabilities.
Yeah.
We were in touch with them because, again, from other challenges, that was a major challenge that even they were facing. So it's been really helpful and been an invaluable source technology. But also, we did face a lot of challenges. And I would say one challenge was, whatever said and done in India, there is a digital disparity. So poor connectivity, not having proper connectivity across all areas. Also, I feel like Rahul sir added, patient engagement is a big thing, even in psychology. How regularly is engaging with us through sessions. And that the core to that is your rapport formation, which becomes difficult over a video.
Yeah.
So especially for athletes who were coming for a first time session, for them, the first interaction was over a screen. So although rapport formation was good, but it took longer.
Yeah. Also, how did you deal or gave them confidence that, like we mentioned, ethics and confidentiality?
Exactly.
Since, if we are online, I'm not sure who else is around in that particular room. So building that rapport, giving them confidence that, it's still a in-person or a one-on-one or in-camera discussion. Did it came over a period of time?
Yes, like I said, it was a big part of rapport formation, ensuring and creating a safe and secure environment for them. So assuring them that it's all confidential, there's nobody around you while you're conducting a session. So there's nobody else in the room with you. But so it took a while to build that trust also. But I would say a lot of a challenge that even a few athletes faced was level of privacy in their own homes. So from my personal experience, a few athletes stopped consultation as soon as COVID happened because they had a lot of family members around them and they didn't have a secure space or a room to themselves where they could just go and have a conversation.
Right.
So there have been advantages, of course, more, but there have been disadvantages as well for individuals who didn't have a safe and a secure space to talk about their issues. Also in India, it is improving, but for a lot of individuals who had the stigma attached to mental health, for them also it was quite, I would say, to adapt online thing when living with members of the family.
And I think you did good. I've personally seen, your sessions reaching out to students, reaching out to mass, at least, talking about the concept, encouraging them to come up, talk about it. It's not a mental stigma anymore. So great job, and
Thank you.
the transition from where you were and which market or, especially a country like India where you're trying to address this particular field. Fantastic. So everyone, I think we have about 8-9 minutes left, and both the interesting topic, edutech and health tech. So I want to keep it open for 2-3 minutes. If Aditya sir, Rahul, Tanuj sir, you want to chip in any further thoughts, a correlation between education and health and inclusive growth as we spoke about. So any thoughts, Aditya sir, starting from you?
So I think just to kind of culminate the whole discussion from my point of view, from a tech perspective. Exciting times, both from a perspective of commercial angle for the edtech company like us to grow, and also the angle of ensuring that the quality education is delivered to the last mile. I personally feel, as I had mentioned earlier, this whole noise we see in the ecosystem about X company valued at as unicorn, Y company valued at that valuation in the edtech space, we all are still, in spite of the kind of growth coming up, we're all still scraping the barrel. The market is huge. We have still not gone to the real folks who will benefit from all this edtech revolution the most. We are still in the upper middle class kind of a segment, have not gone down to the real folks where the need is the most from that piece of it. So I think it's very timely, especially with the penetration of internet, AI, ML, all those things coming in. It's exciting times ahead. Country like India, I feel like in software development with TCS, Infi, Accenture, IBM, we have become a leader across the world. I think we have a potential to evolve both in health tech and edtech newer models, which will kind of become a models which the other countries in the world can follow. So looking forward to that kind of a journey, looking forward to that kind of a growth and the learning, and happy to be part of this journey. So thank you.
That's a great vision, and congratulations on your success or talented success. So thank you. Thanks. Tanuj sir, couple of minutes closing remarks from you. Tanuj sir, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, I can. To close, I would say that I'm always optimistic about things, and I feel that the future holds a lot, as Anit mentioned also. See, we have the technology in place. There's so much that can be done, and one of the things that really warms my heart is since the pandemic struck, I was saying that human ingenuity is such that we will be able to overcome it. And if you look at it, we have developed a vaccine in record time. So that's just an indication of how things can go. So we are still at an early stage of the learning curve when it comes to all of these technologies, and there's a lot we can do, but that makes it even more exciting and more promising. So I think this space is only going to grow.
Right. Thank you, sir. That's a good remarks. So we're left with 5 minutes. Rahul.
Thanks, Nitin. So Nitin, I'm going to leave us with like basically two thoughts, right? One from the doctor's side, one from the patient's side. The first one being from a doctor's side, there is lots of stuff that is happening from, oh, let's set up a schedule for the patient to talk to the doctor, etc., etc. But those I feel are the admin and the logistics related stuff. Not enough has been done. Not enough has been done to actually help the doctor in coming up with the right diagnosis. Not enough has been done to actually standardize care and help the doctors. That is the first part. Okay. So that's where the efficiency and the skills and all need to be upgraded for the doctors, which is where people like Aditya can also potentially look at also. So that could be the crossover between EdTech and health tech. That is the one part. The second side of it is from the patient's perspective. So far, India has never really, or even for that matter, most of the developing parts of the world have never really had a concept of security of your patient data, right? The entire concept built out around consent, that I want to share my data. Am I allowing my data to be shared with this particular doctor? Is the owner of the doctor the patient or the doctor? That kind of stuff. And I strongly believe that consent management needs to be put in, but maybe simplified a little bit for the bottom of the pyramid, and access to data needs to be increased. And both of these, for the doctor as well as for the patient, that is what is going to lead towards a health revolution, which is going to lead to better patient engagements and be able to come up with better patient outcomes. As I said, when the patient leaves, we don't know if he's dead or alive. Only if he goes to another pharmacy, I might have an idea whether he's alive. He goes to another doctor, I know, okay, he's alive, right? And then also, at the end of the day, I don't know if he changes doctors because he didn't like the doctor, or he doesn't believe in the doctor, or the doctor is gone for a second opinion, etc. So there's lots that needs to be done from a patient outcomes perspective also.
Quick 1 minute, your thought on preventive, or well-being. As a wellness well-being now, we say, how far are we to make people aware that preventive is the way to go? I mean, there's been studies which says 1 rupee spent on preventive is better than 138 spent on reactive. So
I completely agree with you, because so I'm going to borrow from Aditya's words, right? We're only scratching the top of the barrel in this case, literally, right? Where if you are not going to be able to maintain your weight, for example, there is a higher probability of you getting diabetes down the line, and then the drugs that come in, and then the gym cost that is going to come in, etc., etc. And also, from a country's perspective, the loss of working man days that comes up. So we need to actually look at preventive a lot more, and from a wellness program, we need to look at it from a lot more and drive that into the current system of healthcare, which is not just that here's 5 pills, go take 5 antibiotics and you'll be okay. But the fact that you don't need to take antibiotics. If it's a cold, don't take any medicine. You'll be fine in 7 days. Take medicine and you'll be well in a week.
Yep.
Right? It's that concept. So we need to move away from the pill model and go towards the preventive and wellness model.
So there's a whole, separate topic on Ayush, which we're not going to talk today. We are end of the conversation, but that's another medical science. We have it in India, which government of India is promoting actively, not in India, outside of India as well. Nanki, 30 seconds closing remarks.
Yeah, so I would say with regards to mental health, the conversation in India has started in the right direction. And I see, and I would just hope that all organizations and we come together to tackle this issue. And I would just like to conclude by saying that we need to normalize the notion that it's okay not to be okay, and not
True.
treat it like a illness,
Yeah.
like treat it like any other fever, cold, and it's okay not to be okay, and offer the social support to individuals suffering from mental health within our community.
Yeah, and I would add to that. I think for my limited knowledge, I know there's no insurance claim for mental health. So both for the patient as well as for the consultant. So probably,
Yeah.
I think we if we address it well, the insurance company should also include mental wellness as one of the medical condition, like you mentioned. As a
Absolutely, yeah. And I would just like to add quickly to that, more than that, we don't even have proper governing bodies to regulate like who's practicing within the. So I think we need to stay there. I can speak about sports psychology, like you have organizations in the UK, US, where they monitor who's practicing and the qualification. I think India needs to adopt a similar model to, again, stigmatize the issue also with the more credible practitioners within the field.
Yeah. Fantastic. I think we are time, and from my personal experience, Nanki, I can admit in front of everyone that my golf handicap has improved since I started talking.
I'm glad.
So, anyways, so thank you everyone. Thank you Aditya sir, Rahul, Tanuj sir, Nanki. It's been a great interacting with you all, and so look forward to interacting with you offline.